I have to admit, I don't know. I've been in the Washington Monument. Every time we've been there, it's been closed.
Really?
Or they were remodeling this or remodeling or something.
It was open. You had to have tickets to get in and out of it.
Okay, it's 9:00 and I'd like to call the February 16th meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Will you please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's nice. I think I'll get the entire file. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like this spread. Let me really see it. Okay, public comment. Is there any public comment?
No.
None? Anything? Okay, then we'll go to commission comments. Commissioner McKinley. Sorry.
Shoot, my name tag.
Yeah, no, I'm just- Okay, that's better.
I don't know what I'm. The Thursday, Monday evening, we attended the Manhattan Cat. Excuse me. Attended Manhattan Cat Backers meeting, and Coach Kleiman was a speaker. And he spoke about the team stuff, and most interesting info was about all the nutrition and exercise science they use now. Constantly checking to see if they're hydrated. They've got bottles of Gatorade and everything, all those different things. Every corner of the building, they tell them, drink more, drink more. And they also have, they're called catapults. It's something they wear, keep that they can monitor their heart rates, their speed when they're running, their contact loads, how many collisions they've had, and they use those to monitor practices because they found, which one player they found, if he goes too much during practices by game day, he isn't as well, so they limit him during the week, and he does better in practices. And Tyler Lockett is used, and that's one that, Tyler talked about how he'd been injured and he came back and said, "Oh, I'm going full speed," and they said, "No, you were at 21 and you're at 18 right now." He said, "You're not ready to go back yet." It gives and all the nutritional stuff they go through with it. It's really amazing all the stuff they do with them, keep them healthy. And then Tuesday I was in focus. Amanda Webb came along and she discussed the battery recycling and short-term rentals. And I talked about the North County Ambulance Station, the public safety building, and some of the legislation we've been looking at. Did have a call asking about the county planning on going to the 410s.
Well, I've heard. I didn't get to listen to you, but that's what I had heard.
Yeah, somebody called me and asked about that. Okay. Well, it's not in anything, not coming anytime soon. It has been discussed, but talking. Then after that, I stopped on the way back, stopped talking to Michael Bauer, just getting up to date on some of what some of his department is doing and some of the items about county in general. And then Tuesday evening, went to the Riley City Council and updated them on what's going on. Wednesday was the meeting for the North Central Kansas Regional Juvenile Detention Facility. There'll be a test. There'll be a test. They discussed there's a House Bill 2021, which kind of reverses some of the SB 367 in 2016. And if it does pass, which they're hoping to, it's going to require more detention space. And so they're looking, there's an old jail, they built a new jail in Salina, and they're going to be moving by the end of the year. And they're looking at possible taking over part of that for part of the thing. And then they discussed a settlement from a suit by a former employee, and we're going to get more information from the insurance company in April. Those get turned over to the insurance company and they handle it. Not very happy about the way it's handled. That we're going to try to get more information, and that's about it.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
Oh boy.
Deep
Deep breath. Oh, it's been a good week, actually. Monday morning, I was able to catch the early morning general session at the, well, let me just start by prefacing, I was in Washington DC for most of the week, just in case anybody's paying attention this morning. I know it's cold. At the NACO Legislative Conference, it started with an update on ARPA funding from Eugene Sperling, who's the senior advisor to the president and the American Rescue Plan Coordinator. American Rescue Plan Coordinator, yes, that's an acronym too. After that, the NACO's president, Denise Winfrey, hosted a panel discussion that included Mitch Landrieu, senior advisor to the president on the bipartisan infrastructural bill, Jack Markle, U.S. ambassador to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and John Podesta, senior advisor to the president for clean energy innovation and innovation and implementation. Last speaker for the session was the United States Transportation Secretary, and I always mess up his name, Pete Buttigieg. Okay, Buttigieg. So it should be a J and not a G. Throws me off all the time. Okay, well, he spoke for quite a long time, spoke on several transportation related bills, several related programs that's kind of facilitated directly towards counties. It was a pretty good conversation. Monday afternoon, I headed up to Capitol Hill to meet with several staffers with Congressman Tracy Mann's office. We discussed a handful of relative rural challenges, including road-related issues in the city of Ogden, military and veteran-related services. And I chatted about some of the county struggles with infrastructure, particularly in Keats and University Park. Planning a follow-up conversation after March, after everybody introduces their budgets, which that'll be probably about third week in March, mid-March, somewhere in there. And we'll probably be via Zoom. So his staff also provided a tour of the Capitol, which was fun to have the opportunity to do again. Also got to see and take pictures of the new Amelia Earhart statue. They did a really fabulous job on that. It almost looks perfect. It almost looks like she's there, which could explain a lot if you think about it. But anyway, yeah. Let's see. Tuesday morning, I started off Tuesday morning with the WebEx back to Topeka to provide some, I'm calling it virtual testimony because it's not really, yeah, okay. I thought maybe I had that one right or wrong. I feel like that's like a beam me up Scotty type of thing. But anyway, I did that testimony on Senate Bill 162 that's in the Kansas Senate Local Government Committee. Thought it went pretty well.
We did.
Yeah, okay. I was grateful for everyone that testified, including Clancy and Craig from the counselor's office. And I didn't catch the gentleman's name from Crawford County, their counselor, but he gave some pretty compelling testimony, I thought, as well. So I had the opportunity to talk to several other commissioners throughout the state on this particular subject while there, and very much so in favor, including Ford County and what was the other one? Wyandotte County. Has something weird going on with that one themselves. And I can't remember the other county. I think it was, I can't remember. Anyway, so much going on at the same time. My brain just can't do all of it sometimes. So hopefully we're able to get this not also through committee, but actually passed. I don't think it'll be unanimous through committee. I could see 2 senators on there for sure voting no, but hopefully everybody else does. So Tuesday after that, they had a general session once again at the legislative conference. We heard from United States Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. As you can imagine, with inflation and everything else, it was a large topic of conversation. So that followed lunch, and then after lunch, President Joe Biden came by, gave us some remarks. Yeah, spoke for about a half an hour to the general session as well. Tuesday afternoon, I listened in on the Council of Foreign Affairs state and local webinar titled Subnational Diplomacy. This was with the Ambassador Nina, I can't pronounce her last name, Hadjian, Special Representative for City and State Diplomacy with the United States State Department, and Alyssa Ayers, Dean of the Elliott School of International Affairs at George Washington University. Webinar was pretty informative. It's based on how local grassroots efforts should be incorporated into national and global foreign policy and diplomacy efforts. A lot of good questions on that webinar too. Late Tuesday, I met with the staff of United States Senator Jerry Moran at his office on Capitol Hill. Discussed much of the same thing that I discussed on Monday with staffers from Tracy Mann's office. We're going to follow back up sometime in mid-March. That might actually be here. His staff's actually going to be here in Manhattan, so we might do that over at the over at his office over there in the foundation building. Tuesday evening, another ugly loss, like K-State, what the hell was that?
You notice I didn't mention it.
I think I've come to the conclusion that when I watch them play, they lose, so I'm gonna quit watching.
Okay.
That starters, and they've never won a game while I've been in Washington DC either. That one just can't be helped, so, but boy, that after that, I just thought, what's going on? Are they maybe believing in their own hype?
I just assumed Greg didn't wear the right shirt.
And then I'll go ahead and blame it on you instead of feeling bad myself, so that works, so, okay. I'm hopeful that they, whatever this is going on, they pull it out and have a strong finish over the last 5 games, so.
No defense. My daughter was there. One of my daughters was there that lives in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Her and her husband went. She says they don't play defense. Their defense is horrible.
We had wide up, they were shooting a good percentage of threes, but because we weren't guarding, they were standing out there by themselves.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma is not a great shooting team.
Our defense is horrible.
Um,
Don't know what happened there.
yeah, got to shore it up, whatever it is. I know we're expected a lot because they just kind of jumped on the scene, but still. Yesterday, of course, I traveled back from Washington DC, did a little sightseeing in the morning. Finally got to see the World War I memorial. That was pretty cool. It was been under construction or they've been working on it. Got to see the Jefferson Memorial too while I was out there. They've usually been working on it every time I've been out there and they still are. So I don't know what the deal is there, but whatever. I came back, was a little concerned with the possibility of this winter storm, that the flight might get grounded and I might have to spend the night in Dallas, but we made it in just before the storm started. So, or if you want to call it a storm, I guess, I don't know. It always seems like 4 to 6 or 8 inches ends up being, well, what you see. So anyway, that's all I've got.
Okay, my week was relatively quiet. Had several church committee meetings, doctor appointment, bell choir practice. I spent some time, a couple days here in the office catching up on emails, phone calls, meetings. We did make some final changes to the Keats brochure and it should be ready real soon to look at. I attended the weather briefing yesterday, then had a quick meeting with Rich about protocol on weather closing information. Didn't sleep too much because kept getting up looking out the window. Fortunately, we didn't get the storm anticipated. And I would say most people don't realize that our road crews go out in the middle of the night to make sure that it's safe to drive. So that's always, good to know and for people to know. But that's about it for me.
Can I
So,
get ready for business?
yes.
First item we have, need motion on the tax roll corrections.
Did you have comments on something?
You have questions?
No,
I did a question then on the trailer parks. Is there, wasn't that one of them? And,
There was I believe there was a park in here.
yeah, on that tunnel there. Are the mobile homes themselves not part, they're not property tax?
Those
so they're-
are, those are personal property.
Okay.
Yes, the
I
park
was
themselves.
looking at the numbers, I thought maybe that's what it was, that those are considered.
Yeah, the parks are the commercial portion, the mobile homes are personal property.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Just looking at the numbers, I thought maybe that's what it was, but I just wanted to clarify.
Yes, and I know there was a sale. And there's some
Mhm.
conditional adjustments, so that's the big portion of that.
Good news is I've heard the new person will get it in
Yes,
better shape.
that's the understanding that we have as well.
Oh, that's it.
Any other questions? One on the Marianne Apartments? Was that a sale?
Let me check really quick here. I believe that was income and expense documentation was provided, but let me just find it.
Went down for the bit.
Yeah, we send out those notifications asking for the income and expense documents ahead of time to try to avoid this type of thing. If they don't get it back to us, but then they go through the appeal process and they provide it, we do consider all of that data, and that's why there was a reduction. Okay. Any other questions?
Anything else?
Have anything else? Do I have a motion to approve?
Go ahead and make a motion to approve both tax roll corrections.
No, second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the tax roll corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sure, please. Thanks, Anna. I was watching a game, it was a little after 9, and when the halftime was, it was 36-36, and. Like I said, after 9 is after my bedtime. My wife said, "You want to stay up and watch it?" Because she was probably in. I said, "No," I said, "The way it's looking, I'm gonna stay up and not get much sleep because 5 o'clock still gets her at 5 o'clock. And I'm not gonna be happy." And when I got up in the morning and saw the score, I was so glad I went to sleep. Up and happy.
The start of the second half, they scored what, 12 straight points or something.
Then I wouldn't have been able to go to sleep because I'd been so mad. Yeah, I made the right choice on that one. Next, commissioners need a motion to approve agreement relative to performing certain work and or Oxford County's right of way for Twin Valley Telephone.
Well, that was a mouthful. Go ahead and make a motion to approve the parallel road culvert replacement project.
No,
Am I on the wrong one? I can't.
It's for Twin Valley. This is for relocating Twin Valley.
Twin Valley Utilities relocation, and I think it
It's,
for that parallel road.
it's on,
Yeah,
the whole- it's
parallel,
a part of the parallel road. It's not
Culvert.
covered out.
construction,
And
yeah,
get this pulled
that's
back.
all part of the process.
Oh, it's a utility relocation. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move then to approve the utility relocation agreement with Twin Valley Telephone on the parallel road culvert replacement project.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Twin Valley Telephone Utility Agreement for the parallel road culvert replacement project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All three sign, please.
Well,
It
that
is a
almost needs
mouthful.
its own abbreviation. Nice tie, John.
Yeah, I like the purple one.
Mhm. Even being trendy with the old lavender and the purple there, huh?
I noticed that.
That's another thing I've noticed. I don't know that we do real well in those lavender uniforms. I'm not really
And then People were
superstitious.
hollering about that on the football team when they played, used a different helmet that we lost.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Different helmet. People were saying, "Oh, quit doing that."
Not that any of us are superstitious,
Yeah.
but Greg, you better start wearing that shirt.
Okay.
And I'm gonna quit watching, so. We'll do our part.
I didn't watch any night. It didn't make much difference.
I went downstairs to the restaurant there to eat and it was just on, so I didn't really have a choice on it.
I would have been so late, I'd watch the whole thing, but yeah.
I'd say one, to me, it's like, hey, you know, that Johnson guy, he looks like he hadn't played for 2 years. He's just kind of going out.
I kind of wondered if that might not happen at some point in time, but you also got to figure coaches have kind of figured out how to play this team finally.
Yeah, and part of it, they've
They've
just
adjusted.
said, we've got tape on this, now to see how we're playing. Now it's our turn to make an adjustment, hopefully.
Oh, we'll see.
They don't monitor those guys like they do the football team.
Well,
Oh, they
If you
do.
watch Deontay Johnson, they sub him in and out a lot. They have at the very beginning. I think that's part of his heart condition,
Yeah.
which is smart. And he comes in generally and just keeps on playing really good, which is hard to get on the bench and come off. But
yeah,
I think that's why they do it, which is good because him being alive is much more important than.
Yes, I agree.
You know that.
Any changes to the minutes, commissioners?
Okay. Now go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the Riley County Commission dated February 13th.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented for February 13th, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tentative agendas look okay, commissioners.
Yeah, I did have one question about today. Was there any general reason why the county meeting was canceled?
Yeah, there were
We
conflicts.
went over it Monday.
Yeah,
Oh,
Monday we went over it.
okay.
There were conflicts. Mhm.
Okay,
Yep. And it'll give staff more time on all
Animal
fronts
control, you know.
to work on animal control, and the city really wanted more time on it.
you know why?
I know it's an interesting issue on their side.
They want to pass it off to another entity.
Yeah, for possible privatization
Mm.
is in the mix. No?
They want RCPD to take care of it.
Yeah, I heard that's an
Okay.
option too, which I can't do that. Like RCP doesn't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't get to vote on that. Any item for next week's press conference?
No.
Regarding the commissioner parking, just want to let commissioners know what the signs say now. The signs currently say Monday and Thursday, reserved 7:30 to 5:30. So then we'll just have the one furthest to the south just reserved. And you want it just during the weekdays, or you want it 7 days a week?
I think just during the weekdays, I mean, when I come down here,
There's nobody.
yeah. I mean, typically, after hours and on the weekends,
There's plenty of stuff.
you usually can park right up front here.
Okay, weekdays, we'll keep the hours today reserved Monday through Friday. 7:30 to 5:30.
Like I said, we'll see how that goes, and if we need to do the other two, we'll do the other two, but we'll just play it by ear.
Okay.
Do they stop giving tickets after 5 or
Not that I'm aware of, that goes,
what?
I mean, they got the
But that's a
technology.
county parking lot, so it's only when staff's here to
Right.
ticket anyone, so it would be just during those hours, yeah, then we don't have anyone here monitoring it. That's not a city parking lot, that's a county parking lot.
On the city side, they're doing that enforcement 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, no, this would not be enforced 24 hours a day.
I don't know, they may make some adjustments along the way too, I don't know, but
We'll get the public works department to craft a new sign. Put a new sign up there. Huh?
Well, yeah, we know that.
you can send the bill to Rich Fargo, Riley County Clerk's office.
That's fine, we'll get it taken care of one way or the other.
I know where that goes.
Commissioners want it, we'll get it taken care of. The small cities, meetings, commissioners, we have a couple minutes, if it's okay if we talk about that, Catherine?
Which,
The small cities, is it okay?
sure,
Thursday, March 30th, Riley City Hall, and I'll email all these to you, so don't worry about.
Cindy already did this.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I
we got
did.
them
Yeah, I
still
saw
there.
that. I wasn't sure if you were on the list. So yeah, she did email it. Thursday, June 29th, Leonardville Community Building. Thursday, August 1st, at VFW City Hall. And Monday, October 30th at Ogden Community Center. Now, commissioners, on these, one of the good things of the way it got scheduled, it's the 5th Thursday of every month, which only has one person on staff reporting to you, which is Clancy. So my question to you is, I think to make these interesting, I think it would be beneficial, to have maybe our public works director at each one of them talking about road projects in the area. And who else would the commissioners like to schedule at those to try and get some interest from the communities? Because I understand just our presence there shows good faith effort by us and looks good, but it'd be nice to get some participation as well. And so what kind of topics may bring participation to them? Because right now, all that is scheduled at any of them is Clancy's update.
Well,
Not that Clancy isn't a very riveting speaker, but.
it's two-way.
I was thinking that we would have, our regular people come.
Well, that is all that's regularly scheduled on that map is Clancy.
Because it's after hours.
And
Well,
when was there Leonardville in there?
June 29th, or
That's
then.
Leonardville. And then, go through that again, Maya.
You bet, March 30th, Riley City Hall. June 29th, Leonardville Community Building. August 31st, Randolph VFW. And October 30th, Ogden Community Center. Currently, the only staff member that's scheduled for time on those days on a regular calendar of events is Mr. Holman. A very riveting speaker, but
It'd be nice to maybe reach out to the city itself and see if you can get the mayor, or councilman, somebody to maybe give us an update on stuff that they're doing.
I like that idea.
And then maybe we could do, David Adams or Russell Sticky, fire or ambulance.
I just want to be careful trying to bring two,
Don't want to bring a whole bunch.
yeah, because it's overtime.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Well, those guys aren't overtime, but their staff, any support staff, you
Yeah.
gotta remember, all department heads and elected officials, they paid the same whether it's 40 or 100 hours a week, so.
No, think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me know, I just think it's, I think
That'd
it's
be
good,
idea. Yeah.
and that was my thoughts, Dawn for road projects and the respective areas and. Whatever else you can think of along those lines, but let me know, I'll bring it back to you. I like the idea about the mayor, though, I think that's good.
Yeah.
To update the board and maybe, the community issues and concerns going on. And then it is almost time for Mr. Holman at 9:30. Commissioner David Adams does have time on the agenda. He will be presenting via on Zoom because he has a bad cold and you'll be able to tell by his voice. He called in this morning.
Yeah, I saw that.
How's Amanda?
Doing well, how are you?
Not good. I noticed that as well. He's ignoring that you're talking about him.
Well. The longest time I went to this podcast, I had to pull him, so I was with
I think it'd probably be good and just throwing out ideas, but Leonard Bill to have David Adams give an update, I think that'd be good potentially, but just thinking along those lines, community and styles.
Send him. Have people saying bullshit.
Really nice.
Yeah. Maybe. Groundbreaking at that point.
No.
Probably not.
Better have to do a whole lot before then.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be optimistic, Greg.
What, they were groundbreaking? You think? How many
That
months?
was always, you forget about it, we get sunburned.
Don't you?
When I have to depend on others, I'm always hesitant.
The bid's first week of March.
Yeah.
It takes about 30 days to get all the paperwork. And stuff.
We got all the infrastructure.
Yeah.
How soon do you think that Leonardville facility will be done?
No, she said groundbreaking. not
Yeah,
finished. She said
Groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking.
Gotcha.
Groundbreaking will be done.
Gotcha.
No, it won't be completed by then. She was probably.
No, I was saying a groundbreaking thing.
Gonna have an official groundbreaking on it?
Yeah, I would hope
think
so.
Yeah,
You got that scheduled?
I have not.
we might be ready for that in
We'll
June,
be
maybe.
ordering our golden.
No, I would agree with you. It's just groundbreaking way before that.
Yeah.
Should be done by the end of the year, I would think.
Oh,
I kind of teasing David, it's about Christmas time, is the way it's scheduled to be completed.
talking
On the
about-
bid forms, on the bid forms, we
Correct.
got a place that's supposed to fill in. every day.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think he said about 8 months. So that. Give or take, we're right about Christmas.
Groundbreaking might be. one of the
You'll put on a Santa Claus hat and ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
If it all works right, we could be doing groundbreaking.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
Once you get a contractor, yeah.
Yeah, I mean. Typically, if they're ready to start right away, it's within a. By the time you sign bids, get a contract signed, it's a month.
That's the key, depending on what project they're on and where they're finishing that.
I think that'd be a great PR thing.
Ready, commissioners? It's time for Mr. Holmes.
Yep. You didn't have anything else, right?
Yep, just the executive session.
Okay, and we're going 20 minutes. Okay, I move the Board of Riley County Commissioners, including Chair Foki, Vice Chair Ford, and Commissioner McKinley, along with Clancy Holman, County Counselor, and Craig Cox, Deputy County Counselor, attorneys for the commission, recess into executive session pursuant to the preliminary discussions relating to the acquisition of real property, exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss a potential purchase. The open meeting to resume in the county commission chamber at 9:50 a.m.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to, go into executive session until 9:50. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Words aren't coming to it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and move that the Board of County Commission come out of executive session.
I'll second.
Then moved and seconded with the Board of Raleigh County Commissioners come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Also move that no binding action was taken during the executive session.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded that no binding action was taken during executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner. Bridge, I'll get you a sheet on that too. I didn't think that dropped one off. But it didn't.
Yeah, no problem.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor. And the item I have before you today is a draft, as the car indicates, of an interlocal service agreement. This particular agreement is the one the board has been anticipating for some time that will allow the county to, with any small city that signs it, reimburse that small city for attempt to reimburse them for the reduction in their local retailer sales tax funds based upon the end of the old road and bridge sales tax, the 1/2-cent tax that expired at the end of December of last year. And this is to make up for the fact that those small cities normally were getting a distribution from that. And was part of the public education program that the board carried out and going out to the various local agencies, local groups, and the small city. As the county educated the public toward passage of what became passage of the 0.20 sales tax, which will be in effect for the next, is now in effect and will be in effect for the next 5 years. The methodology in this is interesting, particularly to someone like myself with very limited math skills. But the way this works is set out in paragraph 2 of the agreement. And I will give you a short form description of it. And anybody, we had members of the Budget and Finance Committee who actually were very instrumental in helping determine what language needs to be in this for that practical side of the agreement. As always, in an agreement like this, it's often the practical side that's as important as the legal side. And how's this going to work? And in paragraph 2, that's what's described. It's a little tough to read, only because it's accurate. And it does talk about different sales taxes that were in place, one that was in place and one that ended, the one I just described. And then the fact that the new one is going to be used. There aren't going to be funds from that sales tax. That sales tax, those funds have to be dedicated to the purpose in the 0.20 sales tax that began this year. And they're not, and this does not take funds away from that. They're all going to be used for the purpose that the public approved. Instead, your general fund has been supported for many years by an existing 1/2-cent sales tax that goes into the general fund. The general fund, as you know, is the general operating fund of the county. You can use that for any lawful purpose. This agreement reaches into that, but it measures the amount that will be distributed under the agreement. If you look at Schedule A on the agreement, that talks about the timing for these distributions to the small cities. And the agreement will reach into the general fund. And it's going to distribute to those small cities that sign, whoever signs the agreement, we have to have an agreement with. But any small city that signs the agreement, the distribution that they get will be measured by how much of a distribution they're getting from that existing contribution to the general fund. To the extent, and we felt, the Budget and Finance Committee, we felt this was the fairest way to do this because it basically treats both the county and the small cities the same. Whatever up or down fluctuations there are in those sales tax receipts, that's going to determine how much of the distribution each small city gets at the end of each quarter during the calendar year. And that's an important part too, because as the Schedule A shows, every small city who signs this, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to explain that to small cities, and this form's approved and take it out to them. It doesn't mean that at the end of each quarter, suddenly there's a check showing up to the small cities. No, because even the county doesn't get its funds right on the last day of each calendar. As you know, we get them late. Every county does. KDOT, Kansas Department of Revenue has to engage in mathematics to find out how much is going to go out as a distribution to those parties under the sales tax. Same thing here. So we won't know until routinely the month following the end of that calendar quarter how much we get. Then we're going to need to process a distribution from the general fund based on the amount that the small city got under that existing half-cent sales tax, not the new one, because that's not a half-cent tax. But we'll be making a distribution under this agreement to that small city over and above what they're getting as part of their distribution under the new tax. All right, so that's the gist of it. Now, believe it or not, that's as unconfusing an explanation as I can give. So any gaps in it, I'll try and answer. But I have other people from budget and finance that might give more help in that issue. We had great help from outside counsel on this. Mary Carson, our bond counsel. She was instrumental in preparing this document. And the committee had a chance to kind of struggle with this paragraph 2 in terms of coming up with some language that accurately describes how this is going to work. Still going to require a little bit of education, I think, when we get it in front of them, assuming we get it in front of the small city and staff will do that. Glad to answer any questions you have.
So that, I have a question. That sales tax expired at the end of last year.
The old road and bridge half-cent sales.
So then we are still getting revenue.
Yeah.
Well, there's some.
It's
2 months later, okay.
Yeah, it
so
finishes
this is
off.
basically for 2 months.
Great, well, it's a great point, but disbursements under this agreement are key to this calendar year. And so what we came up with is will still be distributions as described in the schedule.
Because the small cities will still get their January, February ones from the previous
Correct.
ones, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
this doesn't slow anything. It's an
And
additional,
then it'll start the card.
that's why it's a
Quarter
reimbursement for that loss of funds. It's not, one thing that's probably sure, it's not going to be perfect reimbursement. It could be more or less in any quarter, but the idea is the better those receipts come in, according to the percentage they get under that general, what I think of as the general asset sales tax supporting the general fund. And the better those receipts are, the better news for the small cities. Just as it's better news for the county under its existing 0.20.
But it's still consistent. So if it goes down, it goes down consistent for everybody. If it goes up consistent for everybody. And that was the point. Yeah.
Each quarter.
It'll just be a different source of funds and it's derived from that amount. And it won't be directly.
Yeah, it doesn't diminish the amount that the approved sale that the voters approved in November of last year. All those funds are going to exactly what was described they'd be used for. They won't be used for this.
Okay, so really starting in March is when they're going to see what they get from the Department of Revenue will just be the half-cent. So theoretically, they're going to know exactly what they're going to get. They're just going to get our portion at the end of the quarter. So March, April, May will actually be January, February, March, March sales. So they're just not going to get our portion monthly. They're just going to get it in one lump sum at the end of the quarter, if that helps. So they should know exactly if they agree to this, they're going to know exactly what they're going to get.
That's what they're getting. Yeah, they'll get a month from the state.
And then they're going to get our portion, correct.
Any questions from the board on this? All right, I would just ask that you take action to approve or not that form, and the staff will take care of getting this out to the various small cities for their review and hopefully make arrangements for them to sign on. And we'll be bringing back, once each small city signs it, then we'll bring it back for the courts.
We have a motion.
Need one, do we?
Huh?
Don't need a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah, it does ask for a motion. Clancy does have a set of motion.
I'm not getting
Okay.
okay, pull up, so I
Okay.
can do it.
Let's see.
Probably the
So I moved the board. Authorize the staff to present an agreement in this current form of each Riley County small city for signature. And return to the board for the signature.
Oh, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, for the board the board authorized staff to present the agreement in its current form to each Broward County small city for signature. And subsequent return to the board for its signature. All in favor?
No,
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And fuck, on Mr. Harry Pike, Commissioners. I managed to fight through the blizzard-like conditions and so I hope you appreciate my efforts today.
and let me guess, you walked 7 miles one way
Uphill, both
uphill,
ways,
barefoot
yeah,
to school too.
Both ways. Anyway, I just want to give you a brief report. Thank you for your time this morning on our VITA and several other of our extension programs. We've already been open for 17 working days in the library. We have prepared and transmitted and had accepted 318 tax returns already. Those are all filed electronically, so people get the refunds pretty quickly, and those refunds so far have amounted to $513,870. The IRS let us know that we're 30% ahead of where we were at this time a year ago in getting returns filed, so I expect we'll at least be over 700 again this year and probably more than that. But we've also gotten a lot more military folks in to get their returns prepared because Fort Riley wasn't doing that. They didn't have a VITA site this year. So word's gotten over there, and we've done several of our servicemen and women this year. The average refund so far has been $1,615, and the average adjusted gross income is $29,073. The maximum we're supposed to take is household income $72,000 or less. So we're fitting that figure very nicely. The other thing I want to remind you about, and I know you get sick of listening to me about this, but we do have our Rural Revitalization Conference next Wednesday, and I know Commissioner Ford is signed up for sure. I'm going to give you those again, just as a reminder, at Randolph at the VFW, and we'll start about 9:30 in the morning, and got local entrepreneurs this year, as we have in the past, along with state people from the SBDC and USDA rural development, grant and loan programs for small business people. It'll be a really good program. I think we generally have 40 to 50 folks there. We had a Riley County Rural Economic Development Board meeting yesterday, which went very well. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, and I think that most of you are aware of this, but there's a Kansas Broadband Roadshow. It's going to be held February 28th here in Manhattan. I think you have to register for that.
We're all signed up to go.
Oh, you're all signed up to go. Great. Well, we'll plan on seeing you there then, and 5:30 to 7 at the Hilton Garden Inn Conference Center. So a couple of other highlights are from Extension. Megan has been working really hard on home canning programs. She's had 3 sessions. She's been canning like crazy over there and teaching other folks how to do it. If you have a blizzard, it'd come in handy if you got canned goods at home. And the other thing was the 4-H showcase, which we used to call Club Days, will be this Saturday at the Riley Grade School, where the 4-H will come in and make public presentations, skits, talks, and demonstrations. And Greg McClure, our ag agent, has already done 3 coffee shop meetings in the rural areas of the county, has had 20 to 30 at each one. He says that the post-pandemic crowd numbers are finally kind of back up where they used to be. And his Women in Ag series, of which there have been 3, he's averaged about 35 to 36 farm operators. It's been really successful extension programming this winter, and hope to continue that on for the next few months. But we're really excited about what we have to offer and what's happening. So do you have any questions for me? Now, John, you're coming to the Rural Revitalization Conference. Are you folks gonna be able to make
Yes, I
it?
was planning, I'll call him something.
Okay.
I thought I had. but I'll-
Super. You may have. I don't have a list, but
You said payment was at the door, so I was just gonna write a check.
that's fine. Yeah, just register and we'll take your money then.
Okay.
Okay? Thanks so much.
Thank
You.
Have a great day.
Next commissioner should have Brian Pete, 10:15.
So, let's see.
Yeah.
How did that stuff go Tuesday?
The hearing?
Presentation, I can mention it briefly.
John, I would agree with John. It went very well overall. The committee, this is the first hearing they've had on it, 162. So you really can't gauge what they're going to do. They certainly didn't vote. They may do further work on it. They may set it aside for further consideration. That's going to be driven primarily with what the chair does, Chairwoman McGinn. But the questions were good, I thought, first of all, really good, because they were tracking. And that's what you really want, even though
Right.
it can making a presentation, I always think, a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, because a lot of times the questions can indicate there's a lack of support, but really, I think all the questions were answered. Now, whether or not they agree with the answer or persuaded, there wasn't any question that I heard that was a surprise, really. And it was really good to have Crawford County show up and in person and to have present photographs of their own to the commissioners, which I believe they did, and of their own properties. They're just using as examples. They're not naming any, just like ours didn't name anybody. We said property 1, property 2, property 3. Here's why this is an issue. I just thought it went very well. A lot of times, like I've said, if you leave those hearings and you're not kind of either disappointed or nauseous or depressed, none of that was in play. We'll just have to see what they do with it. And quite frankly, we've got 2 years. It'll be as long as it doesn't get, dismissed out of hand. A number of ways that could happen.
No problem.
But
Is this recess?
Glad you're here.
overall, it
Well, I
went
appreciate
very,
it. Yeah.
and questions were good. They were on point. They were understanding. And the hope is that by addressing those questions, maybe you move somebody towards support.
I can't hear you.
That's right. Like I say, I know that. I
We
didn't
won't have another
last year
presentation.
before you tell some
Okay,
people
and the
questions.
I want to hear.
You've got, we were talking, they was kind of discouraging. They didn't even realize what, and it wasn't with this one. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I think it was Senate tax we were in.
I think the interesting thing is you had questions not coming from just the chair and the vice chair, you had questions coming from the entire committee.
They were all.
Yeah, so they were all paying attention and engaged in, and I tell you, probably Senator Straub and Senator Thompson probably won't be in favor of it, but outside of that, I didn't get any indication that it was. Thompson's from Johnson County.
I can't keep track of
I
it.
think she's from Johnson County and Alicia's from Hartford County. She is a former commissioner. County commissioner. Senator Thompson, I think, was the weather guy up there.
They said one of them was a meteorologist.
Yeah. Was retired. Now he's doing what he's doing. They're just kind of, it's always about property rights, and I agree with them. I agree with the sentiment there, but.
Well, that gave us a chance to point out, this does involve property rights on both sides
Yes.
of the issue. Property rights of that person to that property, and the property rights of those people who see it and are around it.
Is there lengthy discussion with two commissioners in particular, I remember, about property rights. No matter what you say, even them at that time don't leave property rights in Park Blanc wide open. And just think of some professional establishments that could be put in a house right next door to you.
Absolutely.
Do you want that? So tell me you're fully in favor of property rights. No, you're not. You have limits too.
Yeah, everybody's got social interest when it comes to that. Yeah,
Sure. Absolutely.
it's not an absolute,
It's
but
a balancing act. It always will be.
I mentioned to him is the question you have to ask is if 97% of people, and that's a rough estimate. I don't know. Amanda may have better numbers than that on that, but about 97% people pretty much comply with everything within reasonable limits, and we work with them. So why do 3% then become the adversary and get the benefit of the doubt?
It's kind of that old line. I always like that one line. I think it's actually quoted in some judicial decision. It may not be that. My right to swing my fist ends where the tip of your nose begins.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, I have a right to do that, but it isn't unlimited. We don't have unlimited rights.
I could easily give Clancy exhibits number 4, 5, and 6 that are worse than any that he presented.
That's a, did you see that a couple of weeks ago? College team, some guys making the last second shot. He makes the shot, he turns around, we're like, yeah. And there's another guy standing, he goes, yeah, and just pops the guy right.
Aye, aye, aye.
You know, I mean, it wasn't, he was just
Sure.
excited to turn around and the other guy was.
Laid him out.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw the video.
Is this a new
Too
file?
bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I just used it because I used it last time when I was scrambling around to get me down. So
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go back and put it back where you used to seeing it.
It was,
No.
it was just.
It was just trying to accommodate the fact that I was running out of time to get my prints. A little more complicated than that.
But it's not, that's what it was.
No new education seminars necessary.
Yeah, I really just, it was like that if he turns around back.
The function of time.
And they had a long. Delay of game or decided whether it was.
Intentional or not.
And, it's. As soon as that he did it, I guess.
You see those things happen every once in a while.
We just. Wrong place, wrong time. One of the announcers was saying, well, intentional or not, you hit somebody that high, it's out. Even though it's not unintentional, you hit somebody. Well,
It's no different than getting a rebound and elbowing someone in the face, or it's the same thing. That's a location you don't hit someone, but it wasn't on purpose.
Did they give you the file?
No.
No.
So you have your wardrobe planned out for Saturday, correct?
That's important. It's Iowa State at home, and I don't know what it is, but Iowa State always seems to get the best of us here.
Well, Iowa State this year has been worse than us on the road.
Uh-huh.
They've been.
But
That's
it's
the fact
always-
at home, but they've been really. Okay, like this on the road. Oh, they lost it. They were the first one. Okay, next slide. Three have been against top 15 teams.
Did they play Texas at home or on the road? They played them at home, didn't they? So Texas lost them too.
They've won 3 or 4 games in a row at home against top teams, and then they've lost it.
On Saturday, what KU college?
Win, lose, draw, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Superstitious or not, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
I was teasing.
Everybody always wants to make a bet on the football and basketball, and I said, we can, but if I lose, I'm not wearing it. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, we had the Super Bowl party thing there in the big international ballroom there where they
That'd
do
be
the
kind of cool.
correspondence dinners and stuff at, and man, they have food station, I mean, food station, they had a taco bar, a sandwich bar, and a pasta bar, and I'm just like, I can't do that, I just can't do it. I had a dessert bar, and then the regular bar. That one was the busiest, as you can probably imagine. I would tell you overwhelmingly, there was Chiefs fans,
That's what you
overwhelmingly.
said.
Amazing.
It probably makes sense because, Washington's in the same division as Philly and they're kind of rivals, so kind of makes sense. But there was one loud group of Philadelphia people over in the other corner over there. They were pretty loud for about 3/4 of the game and then kind of went
They should have
quiet.
been.
It was probably lying after the game about that. Or that last
Well,
holding call.
even the guy himself said it was holding.
Yeah.
There were plenty of calls before that.
But I always say, don't ever let a game come down to a call, period. I was in sport.
Okay, Director Pete, your turn.
Hi, sorry about that. I was sending information back and forth about something that happened in one of the middle schools today. Good morning, members of the commission, Brian P. with the Riley County Police Department. I apologize for my attire today. Everything that I own as far as slacks and dress shirts is in the cleaners, and like everybody else, they're all backed up. So I'm trying to get everything back. So I do apologize. Just as a brief overview, again, I have been making the rounds to all of the municipalities within the county. Last night I was here in Manhattan. I've been in Leonardville, Ogden. We'll be hitting Raleigh, some of the other places up here with before the end of the month. And then with that, I will be putting together an initial strategic assessment or an initial organizational assessment and provide that to all members of the community to include our commission board here and everywhere else, just kind of give what I've seen and what I've observed within the department. It's almost like an organizational or a health organizational assessment, and everything that I've seen within the department is pretty well right now. So other than that, we have no necessarily outstanding priorities right now that I can think of, but I definitely stand ready to answer any questions that the commission may have of me for this particular point in time.
Nothing's coming to mind. Nothing's coming up top there. But there's not much there to begin with, so taking offense to you.
I got to say probably literally and physically, but I do know that we will be having.
Yes, on the
conversation with
22nd,
board,
yeah.
coming up here.
Or 21st, sorry, yeah.
Have you had good attendance in the rural areas?
Yes, yeah, Ogden was a very good, it was well attended. In Leonardville, we had pretty good turnout for, I think, for the size of the community and for folks who are watching online. And so yeah, and the feedback that I'm getting is overwhelmingly positive. There are some one-offs that I think that every police department needs to make sure they keep an eye on, such as how are we paying special attention to certain areas, how are we responding to certain things, and some of it, related to the unique sort of department that maybe we could, we're working to push more information out as to why we patrol the way we do, how we patrol the way we, during certain times, and how it's intelligence led. But that's going to be that nonstop part on us to making sure that we have that communication process out there.
Yeah, I thought the Leonardville one was well received. The people there seem to really appreciate what's going on. And they had the North County officers there.
Yeah.
Most of us know because most of them have been there long enough that people know them, but it's, good to see all of them together.
So that I learned a lot being there because the North County officers, actually, there were several questions that came up. I've definitely, come to understand, or I'm coming to understand the unique personalities of each of the municipalities within the county. And I think it's definitely helping me go a long way with everything. And then I will say this is not going to be a one and done for me. This is going to be something that I'll be routinely doing. Maybe not as officially, like, hey, I'm going to be rigid and, this month I'll be there again. I'll be there at meetings and in gatherings and everything else I can to just get to folks who may not have had the opportunity to be out there on those certain set times and days.
We're gonna have 4 different evening meetings ourselves in the various communities. Would you be willing to provide a update at each one of those meetings if we get a schedule out to you?
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
Okay. Can we write that down
That'd
too?
be good.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess I can talk to you, there's, nothing no reports for the public, but that there's something I would probably like to just run by you all as far as my position at a later date and time and with you all, just an immediate question I just had, but nothing definitely for the public.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next, commissioners, you have Amanda Webb at 10:30.
Got a few minutes. Okay.
If I may approach. May I approach, just a.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
The issue. was one that passed. Yeah. I'm not sure what. Communication corresponds with you.
I just sent you an email on the subject, so you'll see it, but, my position would be I wouldn't favor that.
And we're having. We're supposed to have a city county meeting today, but there's some other stuff going on, but next month we're scheduled to meet with them to try. And that's one of our topics, is to find out what exactly in front. What they're thinking, that's all I have to see what.
Be a city county meeting, I think it's March 23rd. It'll be posted here, or maybe down to the cities, just get one, so
Is it the third? It'd be the 16th.
we changed it.
Oh,
to
okay.
Conflicts.
That's why I got.
Oh, spring break.
Around.
But yeah, we want to have a sit down, and have a discussion with them about what they're looking at.
Okay, and I'm not trying to usurp the process or anything, I'm just trying to figure out marching orders as to, because with the budgets coming close, this is going to have a huge budget impact on RCPD. So I just want to make sure I'm just kind of getting engaged in the temperature on how we need to plan, because there's a lot of logistics that's going to have to go into.
Yeah. I sent you an email and I kind of laid out some of my thoughts in there, so you can get better face value.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Are the mics on?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. May I speak to you real quick?
Their decision on that's not, that isn't gonna come before we meet with them, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, because that's quite a ways away from now.
The issue is that each one of the entities involved in animal control have different needs and requirements, and there's municipal law, there's county, there's unincorporated, there's a whole bunch of other things that feed into that. You have two separate counties or cities. RCPD is down on personnel.
It should have
Um,
been.
The city just doesn't want to fund it, so they're gonna punt it. Mhm.
I guess they have to leave last night, talked about Parks and Rec.
And this is under Parks and Rec too, remember? It's under the umbrella.
Look at how they're finding, the city leads, dump that on some of this too.
It's that, those things are a challenge. But a lot of people here want those, so it's not an issue of. How do you prioritize it?
Taxes. That kind of thing.
But those are services that pay for services, you pay to do them.
I might add that I appreciate your scheduling.
Oh.
That way you don't have to wait 2 hours to hear a topic.
That's the idea behind it. So people, I mean, we set weights in mind, but at least you guys.
Yeah, because you might have to come and go.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate having that listed. And thanks a lot for that. I'm somebody that's more interested about the land use.
No.
Yeah.
It's very small place. No, they were huge. Very pretty. No, unfortunately not. That was the other benefit of the larger, so I could get some moisture out of it. Really fast, so it does create. I haven't seen a very big snow in March before.
Yeah, that's good.
I've seen a pretty good one in early April once too, on Easter Sunday. I have a question. It was kind of weird flying through a thunderstorm, you know, coming in like less than a half an hour.
Yeah, you heard about that one plane that went through a thunderstorm and went to 800 feet of tanking in the ocean?
Uh-huh.
Was that a type of storm they figured out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good thunderstorm,
I had-
It was a microburst that actually did them in, but yeah.
800 foot
That was-
for a swim
Really scary.
after takeoff.
I mean, when we took off, we kind of went around and got up above it and went over it instead of through it.
Yeah.
I guess Fort Riley went on a 2-hour delay this morning too. There's a whole bunch of events that were going on today around. When I was going to attend, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it.
I'll tell you.
And that's why they got that 70% on Fort Riley this afternoon and Karen Hayward's thing. So
At 4,
same time, the meeting was.
yeah.
She's looking a little woolly.
And say them then on. Somebody. Third one next. Okay, we don't need to leave our left. We can't leave. Trying to figure out when.
Gotcha. I was downstairs and I was having problems keeping a connection.
Oh, yeah, for sure. One that a lot of buildings like that, with metal buildings too. Metal buildings are.
No, we're down 2 stories.
Thick
Yeah.
stone buildings too, yeah.
They've got specific Wi-Fi in each section. And I was trying to work off of phone and earbuds and trying to listen and I gave up. Plus all the security and stuff that you have to walk through, challenges, all that as well, so.
They still have the fences up around the Capitol.
No,
Over check this out.
yeah, they have them around some other places still, but yeah, they were down around.
Okay.
They're still working on cleaning and redoing the whole front side of the Capitol, so it's all blocked off with construction anyway, so. It is interesting, you have to stop at the visitor center there and actually get a badge to walk around. There's been some change in the protocol overall.
Bad thing.
No, it's a pretty simple.
And if you're just going in for a tour, you have to schedule it ahead of time. Check.
Yeah, you schedule that with congressional staff and they get that put together and they've got a little clip you wear and then you trade the clip in for an actual guest badge and it lets you walk around. It's nice taking a tour with a different set of staff because I've got a different perspective and
Yeah,
some, different things they're aware of.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Can for you. Sure.
You might speak a little louder. Okay.
She's kind of soft spoken.
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm yelling.
I couldn't really hear you on Monday either. in the live stream.
Okay, it's time.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. Here for another round of talking about the planning and development fee schedule. As you know, of course, in January, I tried to bring the whole thing to you folks. And so since that time, we've kind of broken it up into each category. We talked about land use fees and we talked about the license fees. And again, today is our environmental health fee. Just a quick side note, we're not actually going to talk separately about building and floodplain permit fees because I'm not proposing any changes. The only quote unquote changes, and I think we talked a little bit about it, is just how it's going to be displayed in our fee schedule. And I have time on next Thursday's agenda that we'll talk about all that, how it's all going to kind of wrap up and look. So just FYI, so you folks are thinking we're going to talk about building because again, nothing is going to change there. So. So regarding environmental health fees, there are a couple we're going to look at today. And one of them is one of the ones that has changed since 2012. We talked a lot about how our last fee schedule or major fee schedule update was done in 2012. Very little has changed since then, unless we have added processes, license permits, that sort of thing. One of the ones that has actually changed since 2012 was the wastewater disposal system repair permit. So prior to, I believe, 2018, regardless of if it was minor or major, what the fix was or what the repair was needing, we didn't break it out into minor and major. Everything was just assessed a $75 fee. In 2018, that was changed. They were broken up into minor and major. And minor was the fee was removed, and major repairs kept the $75 current fee. So currently, we do not assess any kind of fee to do a minor repair permit, and we do the 75 for major. Minor repair permits, let's see, let me talk about major, I apologize. Major repairs are, of course, the big ones. Those are your tank replacements, your lateral field replacements, or some component of the entire thing. Those are a lot more intense, of course. So of course, people have to submit an application to us, let us know what's going on. Perry, our environmental health specialist, will review everything. He'll go out first and do an initial site inspection to see what's going on. He'll work with the installer, the licensed folks who actually will make the repairs. And he'll go out and make sure everything's done correctly and all of that. So that's kind of what's involved with the major. Minor repairs, these are, of course, again, more minor, including issues with the lid, inspection port, pipe or cap, blower motor, pump, more of the components of the system rather than the entire tank or the entire field. So it's just the pieces that kind of go in. Usually it's the tank, but sometimes the lateral field might have parts where it's been silted in or there's trees growing in or something like that. But it's usually a component of the tank. Now, again, they are definitely less intensive than major. However, Perry does pretty much all the same amount of work with them. They still require a site inspection. He still has to coordinate repair. We still have to review what's going on. There are times if it's minor enough, we will allow the installer to take pictures and send them to us if Perry's just not able to get out there. We obviously prefer to be out there as much as we can, but there are minor enough things that we have good relationships with our installers, so they'll take the different pictures of as they're doing the repair and showing what they've done, and they'll send them to Perry. And of course, they'll make sure that everything is okay before we issue the final permit. But again, really, for the most part, the major and minor repair permit process is the same. There might be one less site inspection for minor, but again, really, we're doing all the same amount of work. So I am proposing to assess a fee for minor repair permits of $50 and to bump up the major to $100. Again, even though it's roughly the same process, major are a lot more intensive, so it does make sense to have a little bit of a difference there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for that one. Any questions, comments on that?
So those things, when a resident calls, the contractors let you know what's going on, is that how you get, you know?
It's a
I mean,
variety of things.
And if some, like I say, somebody's having problems and they call one of these, I assume they have to use one of our certified
Yes,
people that are certified to work in the county.
correct.
And then they let you know, yeah, we've got a minor repair going on here, or this is, we're gonna be replacing a lid or something.
Right,
You know,
a lot of it comes from, because we do require folks to pump their tanks every X amount of years, depending on what kind of system. A lot of it comes from that, you know, the installer of the hauler will go out to do that, and
See, there's a problem.
see there's a problem and let us know. Sometimes it's the homeowner, you can have things backing up, you can have surfacing sewage, things like that. So yeah, generally homeowners will kind of notice that sort of thing and, you know, kind of let us know what's happening. So it's really a variety of, you know, how we're notified of these sorts of things. And some of them, honestly, Perry discovers he has to do alternative system inspections every year. So sometimes he'll discover them himself. So it really is kind of a blend of how we are notified of repair permits that we need to issue those.
Well, what if somebody is getting a minor repair, has paid $50 and then it turns into major? They don't have to pay another $100, would be another 50, or how would you?
That's an excellent question. I'm not really sure. You know, and really at the end of the day, this isn't about, you know, trying to get a bunch of money from folks. We want to make sure people have working systems. So I would probably say, I'm not sure that's ever really happened, but I would say it's good to think about though, for sure. I mean, I would say if somebody submits a minor repair application for us and gives us a 50 and then something happens and there's more, we'll just go with that. I mean, I don't.
Just keep it at 50, or they would make then another $50, or they wouldn't have to pay another $100.
Right, yeah, I would envision that, so.
That would,
I've got a totally different question.
oh. Yeah.
Wait for everybody to finish up.
Yeah.
Where? Trying to figure out how to word this. How is your department involved in daycare licensing?
Okay, so if we're done talking about repairs, we can talk about that next. Any other questions about the repair? So we are involved in daycare licensing, with everything else we're involved in. If somebody is on a private wastewater system and or a private well, and that's a lot of your in-home daycares. So if somebody has one of those private systems, we need to go out, when I say we, Perry, needs to go out and assess the health of the system, make sure it's functioning properly. He does water testing. If it's a private well, he'll do water testing. So again, just making sure it's very similar to what he does. We call it environmental systems assessment. It's when somebody sells a house, they might, it's not required, but they might request from us to do an evaluation of the existing system before they actually close on the property to make sure everything's working okay. So it's very, very similar to what we do with that. So of course, the health department collects the application fee, and then depending on if there's private systems associated, they'll ship it over to us. Perry will do his inspections, he'll do his review of permits, he'll go up and do his site inspection, he'll take a look. He'll do the water testing, he'll take the samples and then bring it back to our lab. So he has to do all of that sort of stuff because it's on the private wastewater system and private well.
But you said the key word there, private. So why are we charging an extra fee just because it's being used as a daycare? I mean, I understand the usage, but
So it's if somebody applies to add, put in a new daycare, that's what you're talking, is that what this is for?
Well, so I believe the health department, they do annual inspections of the daycares. And again, we only get involved with the few that have the private systems. And again, that's to make sure everything's functioning properly and you know, make sure that, because of course, you know, this is children. We want to make sure that everything's, you know, functioning properly and the water is safe to drink. Other things like if they have a lagoon, there's fencing requirements, gating requirements. Again, all of that is about safety. And And, you know, again, this is just something we can talk about. Right now, all we charge for our portion of it is $9 to $11 just to do a couple of water tests.
Well, the problem with all this is we're complicating this process with so many different fees. It's making it almost impossible for people to run and operate on. So, you know, my thought would be here is to maybe work with the health department and, you know, $50 per one just seems a little substantial. I'm sorry, but it just does. We're not able to get daycares online because of licensing, because of fees, because of
Yeah.
everything up front that just makes it impossible. And it's not typically a for-profit scenario to begin with. So everything that we add to that, we're making it more difficult in a situation that's already difficult.
No, that's definitely a fair assessment, and that's why we're having these conversations. You know, I'm not saying this is how we have to do it by any means. If we want to keep it the same and just charge for the water sample, we can do that.
Well, and would this be like, you're lumping daycare licensing into a whole category, but there's like home daycare for a couple of kids, and then there's other ones that have 10, 15, which would,
Yeah.
you know, can you split that out?
And I thought that's what I was just thinking of, trying to maybe figure out a sliding scale for that.
So we could do that, but again, any facility that's not on some sort of private system, we don't get involved in. So generally, when they have more children and they're more of a regular facility rather than an in-home daycare, we really don't get involved because they're not on the private system. So these were,
They're usually in a city, so.
yeah, they're gonna be on public water and or public sewer, and we don't get involved with that, so.
That's one that needs to be reviewed, I think, a little bit more.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we don't want to put daycare centers, potential ones, or not, to stay away from licensing because of that.
I would say maybe work with the health department
Okay.
and Heather and the child licensing department for sure. And
Yeah, so I know they did recently amend their
Yes.
fee schedule as well, so. So that's all I had in relation to environmental health fees. And again, this is kind of wrapping up our different categories. And so again, next Thursday, I'll have kind of the layout for you. And I won't have any kind of resolution. I'm still not asking for any kind of decision at that point. I'm gonna put together kind of what we talked about. We can talk a little bit more about maybe ones like especially the daycare that you know we still have some questions about. And I want you folks to kind of look at the layout I'm proposing. I want it to look a little bit different than it is now, just to make it a little bit more easier to use, a little more user friendly. So I'll bring all of that for next week, but we can talk more about it.
I had a question on the others, just what's the first one, site evaluation, what is that?
So a site evaluation, and you'll see there's two categories there, site evaluation, no profile. That's basically where Perry will go out. So the profile is your whole, is your
Okay.
test kit, basically. So he can go out and kind of help. Okay, I want to maybe put my system over here, and he can kind of do a little bit of a visual inspection rather than a full on, you know, getting down into the soils and all of that. So kind of an initial helping them kind of.
Just because he knows, he knows the, obviously the land around here, he
Right.
knows.
Yeah. You'd be able to say, oh
Probably-
no, there's too much
probably gonna
slope
be a
over
problem.
there, let's maybe think of over here. So that's what the no profile is, and of course, your site evaluation profile is your testing. To do the soils.
Okay, that's it. What that was.
We don't get a ton of the no profiles. Once in a while, people kind of want us to come out and help them figure it out as they're laying out their home site and all that stuff. Other questions, comments?
Well, the only thing that I was, in the article that was written in the Mercury Retro, I'm so glad they did write it. I was kind of concerned because sometimes I live in the country and we have a shop in the country, I mean, right outside of, in London. And sometimes different septic tank systems, I mean, people that do empty septic tanks have different views of the same situation. Different companies that empty your septic tank, you know what I mean? And I was so grateful. What'd you say?
They want to rip you off.
Well, no,
I'm sorry, I'm a small business owner and I've been screwed by a bunch of it.
well, the problem is one will say one thing, one will say something, but we have really appreciated one of your inspectors who now is deceased. I think he went to our house a few years back. And he was saying, oh, this is just the way our septic tank is built, is an old fashioned way of building it, there's nothing wrong. with it. So that was very good news, because, you know, the companies want to make a little bit of money, like they're wrong. And when this one company said, oh, you're gonna have to have the whole system replaced, which could cost $2,000 or whatever. And so it was a little concerning. And so we were so grateful, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the man's name, but he was so nice. And he said, no, that's the way they were building them all the time on the farms. You know what I mean? So, and he said, there's nothing wrong with it. So then when I saw the article in the paper, that's what I was concerned about. Whether you were jumping your fees from $50 to $1,000, or whether the fee was every month, you know, it was just, and the licensing and all. But I appreciate what you're saying, because this helps clear up some of the issues, because the different companies have different ways they want to make money, which is okay. Everybody's into making money after they living, but still, we want information that's accurate, not right, not over exaggerated. And so that was my concern a little bit.
And unfortunately, of course, we don't have any control over what haulers and installers cost. And it's actually, they don't generally tell us either.
Right.
So, you know, people maybe will call, you know, here, they'll say, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z because, you know, it needs to be repaired. And they'll ask, you know, well, what's the cost for that? We can kind of give an estimate or an idea, but until you contact.
And the
them.
different companies have different ways.
Exactly.
There's certain ones that, you know, you may not want to, you know what I mean? You want to do a reasonable price so that you're not paying exorbitant fees.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a small business. And I appreciate you supporting. I mean, I was here through the field for the couple of, you know, years or so ago when they were trying to. Well, I won't talk about that. That's what I'm saying today. But anyway, our businesses along the corridor of Pillsbury and they're very nicely, and I appreciate being logical and what was presented. Decide not to. If you have questions, feel free to call the planning department. Yeah, you know, talk. Because the problem is sometimes they have ideas that aren't very realistic, especially when you're in the train. Yeah, small business. Well, and the problem is if you gate everything up, that costs a lot of money, and you know, there's all kinds of other issues. And I was so appreciative of it, I think a couple of years ago that, and it might have been last summer, time goes by too fast. But I wanted to say that small businesses really are hurting, and if you put extra, when you already grandfather clause down to a certain place on some things, but I have a septic tank system that's in my house, and then we have the shop septic tank system. And that's why when I was reading that article on the newspaper, which I'm glad the Mercury put something in. And I'm glad that what you were saying, because we want to be reasonable and logical in what we want, not overextending to, you know, because land use to me could mean anything, you know. And I wasn't sure how I interpreted that. Well, thank you for your comments. Well, you guys are doing a great job. And when you have a county that goes very large, it's not large compared to some of them, but you know what I mean. We have Manhattan, and then we have your part of Manhattan, and then up in Leonardville and Riley and all the little small towns. Everybody has different concerns. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Anything else for me on this topic?
Nope.
All right. Thank you very much.
Commissioners, that the bid opening, you go temporary note for the high lanes, ranch.
After the bid, get with me real quick. I got some paperwork I need to get to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate what you do.
Oh,
You
thank
know,
you.
you're trying to be fair.
Thank you.
Because I was, my worker sometimes doesn't write things, so.
That's okay.
They don't always get it right. No, no. That's all. Because we know that you care about everybody, all over this wonderful county. Yeah. And I didn't realize that we had a seal.
Oh,
That is so neat. Yeah, that is so awesome. Well, thank you.
Thanks for that.
Oh, yes.
Opening commissioners?
Yep.
Okay, let's see. This is for the general obligation temporary note series A. 2023 for the High Plains branch. Right.
Right.
And let's see, the first one is from K-State Bank. And let's see. Option one. Payment, total payment amount, 1 year from close, 60. Well, principal balance, 161,000 at 5.39%. And 1 year from close, the first payment due, 1 year, $66,023.18. That's kind of good.
Yeah, all we're really looking for is the interest rate.
Just
Then
the interest.
then we'll have Mary Carson, bond council review and
Oh, okay.
evaluate, talk to them and make a recommendation.
So we need the total amount.
All right, now, this is, yes, State Bank. Interest rate, 5.39%.
Okay, the second bid is from United Bank and Trust. And the interest rate is 5.73%. Same principal amount, 161,000.
Second bid. 999 requests. Again, same principal, 161,000, interest rate 5.73%.
You want to see those, John?
No,
Did you want to jump?
no, I'm good.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we send these two bids back to staff for further analysis and recommendation.
I'll second.
And it's been moved and seconded that we send these two bids back to staff for evaluation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. Wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. Thank you.
Send them on to Kim.
Yeah, Kim and Mary, yep. So Julie at 11.
Yeah.
Like this weekend?
No, not this week.
Rich,
Sir.
realize apparently these were sitting in that place. And when I grabbed my kidney and I grabbed it, did
Oh, that's
everybody
okay.
end up with these?
Yeah, we had funny things, no
Okay,
problem.
I am sorry.
No
I did not,
problem.
I didn't know they were just sitting there.
No problem. Did not have a large crowd.
Well, I was afraid I was gonna have to avoid the element.
Morning, Julie.
Morning.
If we've got time, Julie, before you take off, I'd like to chat with you for a second. Okay.
They're hot off the press, we just got them.
Nice. I like the fall look on there.
Yeah.
Actually, if you have time, you want to chat this real quick now?
I need a magnifying glass.
Say, can you
This
read
one.
that?
No, I'm not even where here. Whoa.
Yeah, that'll make you dizzy, huh?
Yeah, you're right. Mine would be. Norman.
If it's reasonable sized font. huh?
Yeah, that's just not even. I'd rather sit on 2 pages. Good.
Full time figure out the expensive guys, but I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's big, so.
Yeah, one get changed, moved. Does it? who's up for TV.
I'm not watching.
It's on. It's on the ESPN.
Yes, Deanne.
Yeah.
All right, Julie.
Okay.
Hang on just a second. Need to make a motion to recess as the Board of County Commission and reconvene as the Board of County Health.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene into the Board of Health. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Hi, good
Good
morning.
morning.
Julie Gibbs with the Health Department here with my monthly report. Just realized I sent it back. I usually give the same report to the Public Health Advisory Council. And I haven't changed that title. I usually provide a budget to actual with explanations. We didn't have that in time when I submitted this presentation, but Shelley has printed that off and she just got that this morning. So sorry for the small print. You're trying to get it all on one page.
Can't read it.
No.
Yeah, if we need to do like 2 pages or front and back or however you need to
She
break
was
that.
going to do 2 pages, but it printed out kind of
All
funny.
the trust or the numbers are right.
Yeah, just trust us on it, yeah. No, I'll email you a bigger. Yes. The explanation, those are the highlighted areas are the same. It's usually due to grant based, reimbursement based, so. As far as program update, I'll start with maternal and child health program. MCH did apply for the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation grant to support the community baby shower, which is tentatively scheduled for Saturday, June 3rd. This is for incentives for expecting moms. If they do not get awarded funding, which they'll find out in March, they'll apply for additional funding. We have some other local sources we can tap into, hopefully, to get those incentives. Becoming a mom classes are being held on Saturdays throughout the month of February, and the first Saturday they had 31 participants, so it has been very successful. Becoming a family classes, they're hosting on Thursdays throughout the month. They had 6 participants on the first Thursday. You will be seeing an OPEI amendment coming soon. That usually comes to you in March. The end of that grant is June 30th. So we need to get that amendment to you soon once we get that from the state. So OPEI is another acronym. It stands for Outreach, Prevention, and Early Intervention. And that funds a lot of MCH programs. So that will be coming to you soon. Also, we started a new partnership with the Afghan resettlement team via Christie and a few others, including infant toddler services. Seems there was some communication out there about how to obtain car seats and formula for expecting moms. So we got together with them to develop a communication plan so that we have an idea of when new Afghan families are coming in and we have a timeline on due dates. Also, they have once a month on Sunday evenings, they'll host an informational kind of a support group session for Afghan women. So our MCH and WIC supervisors will be attending those monthly so that they can share some more information about their programs, more information about car seats and information about formula. As far as our clinic, they're starting to pick up again. They had a total of 305 immunizations throughout the month of January that they delivered to 247 patients. They had a total of 161 family planning visits with a total of 482 visits in January, that should say, not December. So the numbers are a little bit more than what you saw in December, so they're starting to pick up again. They do have some upcoming events, including the KDHE's site visit. KDHE asked us to host their federal site visit next Wednesday. Also, next Friday, the 24th, we're hosting a BLS training. That's basic life support training for all of our clinic staff. And February 28th through March 3rd, we'll be hosting a SANE SART training for nursing staff. So this is our sexual assault nurse examination. We're beginning to offer those again in-house. So we're offering that training not only for our staff, but for any community staff, any community nurses that would like to attend that as well.
Do they do all that particular work at site or?
Not currently on our site, but we will once we get trained.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
we'll
what,
offer that during our hours. Right now, it's being done in the hospital.
that's what I thought. Not. I'm not so for sure that maybe that's where it still needs to be, maybe.
Yeah. We've been discussing that more with the group. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of work to be done in that area, just say that.
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah. As far as childcare licensing, they're currently working on 18 complaints and 14 initials. So this chart shows the January monthly report. In the month of January, the surveyors made a total of 15 visits in Riley County, 13 visits in Geary County, 9 visits in both Clay and Dickinson County, and 20 in Pottawatomie County. And then this next chart shows facility update, and this is current. So this is for February right now. As of right now, we're down 1 provider in Riley County, up 1 in Geary, no change in Clay. We're down 1 in Dickinson and down 2 in Pot County. And none of these are due to closures from KDHE. It's all been provider decision to close. As far as Raising Riley, they've had a lot of activities since the beginning of the year. They had 2 therapists from Forcer Lapo provide a training on Thursday, February 2nd for parents and childcare providers about resolving conflicts. It was called Creativity in Children's Conflicts. They had 53 people participate, 12 parents and 41 childcare providers. Nearly 325 children will be impacted from those engaging in that activity. The Raising Riley staff also attended the MHK Community Fair on Saturday, February 4th. They were able to make connections with several families and agencies in the community, including 77 adults and 50 children that stopped by their booth. They also are at the monthly Laundry Love at Sedger Duds, and on January 10th, they interacted with 7 adults and 5 children. And 5 childcare providers attended the provider support group meeting that they host monthly in January, and they gained 1 new provider to accept Raising Riley scholarships. As far as WIC, they're seeing a lot of clients, and they're currently servicing 2,504 participating clients. They have completed 353 certifications for services since January 1. They do have a new intern this semester. Her name is Polite. She's been working on multiple projects like nutrition and risk factors for low birth weight infants and dental health month, which is this month. Amelia Pasligua, she's our medical interpreter. She started as the breastfeeding peer counselor with doing USDA and Kansas WIC training this month, and then she'll start in with counseling with patients next month. As you know, there was a formula shortage, so there were some formula substitutions that were allowed, and that is ending on February 28th. So WIC clients will only be able to receive the standard Similac formula from that date on. So staff is working hard to notify clients and vendors and community partners of this change. Also, March is National Nutrition Month, so we always do some updates, social media updates with that. So Rebecca Potvin is one of our dietitians out at Urban Army Hospital, so she'll be in charge of social media posts, of course, with help with Vivian. And the theme for this year is Fuel for the Future.
Yeah, question on that. How many hours does she put in over there at Irwin?
She's full-time.
Full-time?
Yeah.
For 40 hours a week?
Yeah.
And that's staff from us or staff from them?
From us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that came up in a military service
Okay.
committee meeting is we need to have a WIC program available to soldiers. And I knew we did, I just didn't know the hours and
Yeah,
how
so
many
there's 2
people are involved.
dietitians that work. We have 2 clerks and 2 dietitians, and now Amelia will be the breastfeeding peer counselor for 15 hours.
Okay, good deal.
And then I do have a few updates on some grants that we've applied for. So KDAD, the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services, and the Behavioral Health Service Commission announced an RFP for community-based suicide prevention services and activities, which utilize evidence-based strategies aimed to reduce suicide attempts and deaths in Kansas. So this came to my attention on January 27th, and it was due February 13th, so quick turnaround. We decided it would be more appropriate for the Flint Hills Volunteer Center to apply, as they're the home of the Suicide Prevention Committee that I serve on. That committee is called PACT. It's another acronym that stands for Prevention, Awareness, Compassion, and Training. So the committee has been in existence since November of 21, and they're hard at work with planning prevention activities, especially for the month of September, since that is Suicide Awareness Month. They put together an awareness and prevention presentation, which does a good job of pointing to resources in our community. So this grant would serve to help get these programs off the ground with funding for marketing and incentives and stipends for ambassadors who could help deliver those presentations. So Lori Bishop, who leads that committee, and who's also the executive director of the Volunteer Center, is going to help me lead those efforts if we do get the funding. And then I'll be in charge of submitting data back to KDADS So the Flint Hills Volunteer Center will be the fiscal agent for that grant. So we submitted that grant on Monday, as it was due at 5 on Monday. We could ask for a max of 30,000, so that's what we asked for. And again, that's to raise awareness and highlight prevention and treatment resources in our area. That grant cycle is March 1st of this year, and it will go for 12 months. So we will find out pretty quickly if we get those grant funds. I also applied for Greater Manhattan Community Foundation grant. These were smaller grants. They had to be under 10,000. So I asked for $9,890 to go to Fort Labs. And that's for a complete lipid profile that potentially 144 people could get a free lab if we were to do a health fair in May, which is what we plan to do. We haven't done a health fair in many, many years due to lack of resources. So we're hoping to get some funding to be able to do this. We would offer complete lipid profile, which is cholesterol and triglycerides. We'd also do BMI, blood pressure, fasting glucose levels. I've talked with Danny at Kanza. They are willing to partner with us to offer dental screenings. And that way we'd also have a provider that we could refer individuals to if we partner with Kanza. So this was submitted on January 31st. They'll announce it at the end of this month or early March, and that will determine if we're able to do a health fair in May. And then we do have quite a few upcoming events. We're trying something new on April 1st. At the FCRC lawn, we're trying an Easter egg hunt. So this will highlight a lot of our FCRC services, and it will be something fun for the kids to do. Also, April 15th, we're bringing back Bugapalooza. So we've reserved the Douglas Center from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. on that Saturday. The Bugapalooza was something that we used to do pre-pandemic. We started it up again last year, but it wasn't that big of an event as we hosted it with a farmer's market. So it was a standalone event. It's very educational as it raises awareness about vector-borne illnesses, the dangers of prolonged sun exposure, and other outdoor public health concerns. In the past, we've partnered with the K-State NPH program, Vet Med, EMS, and a lot of other partners were involved in that, so they can each have a booth at that event. We're also looking at May. Tentative date for a tentative month for our health fair. We're looking at a Thursday since we're open later in the day on Thursdays. So that will be announced later. And then on June 3rd, that is tentatively scheduled for our community baby shower. That is an annual event that will be hosted at SCRC building at 9 a.m. And that is all I have. Any questions?
Lots going on.
Yeah. Getting back in the swing of things.
This is a nice.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you. I was happy to be able to get that this morning so I could share it with you.
Who printed this for you?
Sir Speedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they were speedy. Tasha just ordered them 2 days ago.
Real speedy.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Julie.
Go ahead and make a motion that we recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commission.
No, second.
It's been moved and seconded that we recess as the Board of Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. All in favor? Aye.
Next commissioner, Devin Mellon at 11:20.
So I guess the streak ends today, huh?
You know, I was thinking that earlier, John, thought this is a tough one.
Yeah, he's probably gonna have to put his feet to the fire. All good things have to end.
Strategy. I've never been good. Not seen in a while. That was been a while since I've been here. What, up in the basement down there or what? I wasn't sure what. It's been busy. That's good. Plenty to do, that's for sure, always.
That. you have a few minutes post meeting to chat?
Stop by here, you can.
I'm gonna come over there. I've got some stuff I need to drop off to Elizabeth.
Yeah, no problem. So you know, she's not here. She won't be here till probably today.
I'll drop it off. Michelle's there. She,
Yeah.
I'll do that. Go over and talk to Randy at Search Beauty. They do a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They-
They used to do our ballot.
yeah. They really pay attention to detail. Pretty fast.
Set up.
Yeah.
They used to still the same person. Get her.
Put them on several nonprofit stuff. We got several new trends now. It's good that we have. Yeah.
Want to make sure it's accurate.
The she was leaving, we should look in front of it.
You did, you did. It's pretty good. Sure, I mean, highlighting this. You do get one, 2 minutes.
Down to 50. 28. I thought it was supposed to be up for 30, and I saw that, I had that. I think this weekend was.
Like I said, I went from
Oh, are there?
7 degrees and sunny yesterday to this. That's the way I often play. I'm like, yeah, I'm Kansas, I'm used to it. That's happened in, that kind of a drop happened in 30 minutes before.
Pretty quick, yes.
Do we have any severe weather the other night? Just rain?
It's rain.
That's all right.
I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Good rain
absolutely.
for this time of year.
It's amazing out there. Everything's already starting to like green up and stuff out there. It's grass and no cherry blossoms yet, but
Yeah.
Okay. I think
Good.
Morning Commissioners, Evan McMillan, Riley County Public Works. Today I'm proposing the new utility rates for 2023 for the benefit districts in order to account for the most recent change in the city rates, and then as well as the 2022 city rate increase. Firstly, Deep Creek Sewer, which is not affected by city rates since it's just the lagoon system, will need increase to start generating capital for the expected system improvements. Over the last 10 years, it's been pretty consistent as far as the capital, mainly just due to maintenance and repairs on the system. The new proposed rate, which is about 25% increase overall, will accommodate the higher operating and repair costs in the future, as well as generate capital for other system improvements, namely providing access to the lagoon and then splitting the lagoon because it was initially oversized in design. And then possibly eventually replacing the existing lift station since it's getting pretty old. And then for Hunter's Island, the last water rate increase was approved in 2020, which accommodated the city's increases in 2018 through 2020. In 2022, the city had a larger increase of about 35% for the minimum rate and capacity surcharge, about 18% of the water rate. So the recommended rate increase will account for the district's water and operating costs, as well as hopefully generate some capital for other system improvements. Cons Valley Water will have a slight increase to the water rate monthly admin, mainly to account for city's rate increase and employee raises for this year. And then University Park, we recommend a $1 increase on the water rate, and then increasing the capital replacement fee from $4.25 for both sewer and water to $5 for sewer and water. That'll mainly account for refilling the capital funds expended for the upcoming lagoon project and dealings with the EPA. On the last sheet, I've got a summary of the current rates versus the proposed rates, as well as percentage increases in the average change in the customer's bill.
So we buy water from the city.
Yes.
Because their increases, from what I understand, are based on the highest users. You know, they keep increasing because of the higher users, like K-State and golf courses and that, not
They
on,
don't pay it back.
and that, yeah, and. You know, it seems a little unfair, you know, to me, for regular users, it's not spreading to.
Sure.
The highest user should be charged the extra.
And
So I guess if we have to buy water from them, we're going to be subject to that too.
Correct. And then rural water at University Park actually purchases their water from the city as well, so they add on a little bit for their profit and then we have to do it as well. So that's
So there isn't any other alternative.
unfortunately.
You know,
Yeah, that's something that.
we talk about affordability. It's just a term. It's just a general term, but everything it applies to applies back to this. The utility, I mean, every little thing in our lives keep continually going up, and we wonder why childcare isn't affordable. We wonder why housing isn't affordable. We wonder, all this stuff plays a role into that. This is quite large all at
Yeah,
once, to be honest
is.
with you, Evan, and I'm curious if we can't break that up over the course of a couple of different years and incorporate it.
So we can do that. This is actually already broken in that regard.
Okay.
The rates that I would like to have proposed would have been a lot higher, so I didn't think that was reasonable.
Okay.
So I'm broken them down. The main increase from 2022 from the city is the one that really got us 35% and 18%.
Yeah.
That,
And there's more to come
yeah, they'll have
each year.
they'll have a 3% over the next, I think, 4 or 5 years.
This is why I believe the things that we're not gonna ever make anything affordable. They're just not. And believe me, when I say this isn't just happening here, this is happening everywhere, believe me. It's been a loud and clear conversation over the last week while out on the East Coast, but can't have one with the other. It just doesn't work that way.
We are looking at ways to reduce the cost of operation, and I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do as far as maintenance costs. Because
We're pretty streamlined there, so I don't think I don't think they're cutting enough to make up any one of the differences here. That's,
Well, the water is just, can we not, there cannot be any other wells drilled for like say county? That may be a dumb question, but I don't know.
not a dumb question. It's also an expensive
Well, I know
question.
it would be, but
I know that Conzo was well system for a
Yeah.
little while, and they changed, I'm not sure of the year that they changed going to buy water from the city, but yes. Sorry.
If I can't, on
Yes.
Conzo is a good example of why you need to do what they're recommending, because Conzo is a private system. Clancy may remember when this transition was a private system. The entrepreneur did not do the maintenance. And the infrastructure needed replaced, he couldn't replace it, so the county had to go and bail him out with general tax dollars that all the rest of the taxpayers pay to get it up to speed, so those people could have good water and connected to the city. And so this is the reason Leon used to come in all the time, and they'd always, have to bump up rates because they were behind on maintenance. And it's the maintenance that you have to look out for. We can't control the city's costs. There's just no way.
Yeah.
There's no way we can do it cheaper with drilling our own well. Riley County Rural Water District does not have the capacity for these systems and doesn't even go to a lot of these areas. So,
Because for water is provided.
yeah, I think they do. And the city charges 50% above what city users use. Is that
That's,
correct?
I believe it's 25% in Hunter's Island, and then 50 for Conzo, I believe. And then I'm not sure what they.
I think for Keats or any of those areas, if they're gonna do it, I think their policy now is 50% increase. That was something Leon used to always argue with them about
Where is Conzo?
across the blacktop.
The one, okay, I thought that.
Yeah, that was a private system and it was failing and the
But
county
fair
bought it out
water- Fairmont.
Mhm.
Yeah,
with general tax
Thought
dollars,
it was.
plus going down Peak Creek area too. But it goes down that way as well and up that hill back behind those businesses. And so that's an example is if you don't keep up with expenditures and costs to replace infrastructure that you cannot pay it now, but you're gonna have to pay it later. And you want it kind of situation where it Keats with sewer system. We can do it now. We can do the whole thing now with no grant money, but it's unaffordable. The residents are telling you
Mhm.
to do it now. That's why we gotta find some federal funds, or you have the rest of the general taxpayers pay for a benefit district's cost, which is something we don't do. That's why they're enterprise funds. Those property owners pay for those services. But just look at everything and just every place you go on costs. I know City of Topeka, you watch WIBW and you see their rates are going up tremendously for the next several years annually. PVC pipe is horrendous in cost anymore. That's all what they have to try and predict and calculate. And like I said, to really stay on top of it, to make it less burdensome, they need to come back each year for increases because we know the city's giving us increases every year. Either that or you're gonna have larger percentage increases like this continually.
Yeah, and that in City of Island, they hadn't done it for a while, they had a big one.
You guys had a big one there.
Ogden did it
Had to do
too.
A little bit, found out just a little, kept doing a little bit each year to keep up with it.
Ogden did the same thing, pretty much a large increase all at once, and they hadn't changed it in years.
I agree with John and Catherine's concern on how the city does their rates, but we don't have no control over that.
Well, I understand, cities in the same predicament there too. I mean, they've got maintenance and upkeep costs and stuff on there. And if you think cities aren't struggling with failing infrastructure, you're dead wrong.
Well, I'm sure that it's just the staff structure. Is concerned, larger students.
Well, and keeping up with the water quality, just the same issue we're having at University Park, they have to do that on a larger magnitude and have the equipment and facilities and staff to do that, and so. They're trying to recoup their costs, so.
They're spending an awful lot of money on the protection, I guess, flood protection for all those facilities, and that adds to it as well. When was the last time any of these fees changed?
A lot of
22?
them were changed in 2020.
Okay, so that's been 3 years.
It's this 2023 rates when they go into effect March 1st.
They'll be March 1st, yeah. The residents have been notified that they should expect an increase in their rates.
Okay.
Yeah, we've contacted all the advisory boards.
Okay. Did they make any recommendations? No.
Some had a few questions, but that was about it.
Not in our hands anyway.
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't at the end of the
Well,
day.
the
you know.
water, I mean, the water rates from the city, but then
Yeah.
also, like he said, maintenance, we don't keep them up.
Pond was a prime example of when someone doesn't keep it up and then the county had to buy it out and take care of it for the best interest of the taxpayers. And the general taxpayers is, we bailed it out. It
Yeah.
wasn't just that district.
These rates aren't too bad, but it's like, I think it's part of the.
I think Deep Creek's, I mean. $9 a month extra, I mean, that's
Yeah,
a little over $100 bill a year.
that's true.
Yeah, you know. I guess, you know, if all else fails, we could just go back to outhouses. That's a pretty cheap alternative.
Let me call Amanda. Let me call Amanda.
I'm sure, you know, I'm sure we could change some things in the land development there. On those codes. Makes good fertilizer. It might bring down the cost of fertilizer over the course of time.
It is. I told this.
You're always a buzzkill, you know that? Always a buzzkill.
Start doing that and open your own thing at farmer's market.
Yeah.
See what it's fertilized with.
Yeah.
See how that goes.
Specifically, just say naturally fertile.
Naturally fertilized, yeah.
They have known farmers to use it. Not like the treatment plant. Fertilizer.
Yeah.
Well, where is it they do that?
They make rice that way. They grow rice that way. That's why you have
Brown
white,
rice.
see, that's why you have white rice and brown rice.
Someone please make a motion to save it.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll move to go ahead and approve these water rate increases.
I'm gonna begrudgingly second that.
It's this one moved and begrudgingly seconded. These rates as proposed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, he's still batting 1,000.
Thank you. Wasn't good. So.
We'll call it a tie. We'll call it.
Yeah, David Adams at 11:40, and he will be via Zoom. Last I knew anyway.
Yeah, good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
I apologize for that. I've got a cold and I thought I'd do everybody a favor and not show up over there and spread my germs.
I appreciate that.
From the sounds of it there, it sounds like you're finally going through puberty, Dave.
Thanks.
Even distance doesn't save you.
I've been here for a while. I haven't. Yeah.
David, did he leave you opened up there?
And I hope nobody else heard that.
David, now you get abused virtually.
It's the best kind.
Oh, goodness.
Can't see his face. You just
No, it's extended. See it on Zoom though.
Commissioners, just heads up at the end, I'm going to be asking for a brief executive session after Russell's time, whenever Russell finishes. So you practice saying no or yes. Or whatever.
So is it actually important?
Rich, do I need to change something on there so they can see it?
It is.
Yeah, you should be able to.
This,
No. It's down below. I can't see it from here. To minimize that. I think it's up there in the top
I
corner,
think it's upper right, those three buttons down low.
on the black
On
side,
the black,
right there.
View.
Oh,
No, that's for the agenda.
Why should be up on the very top?
Yeah, that one.
No.
Screen.
Hey, I'm getting ready for commission.
I don't know what got changed because we had it right before.
Okay, okay. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Yep,
I
bye.
can hear you, David.
4 minutes. We've got 4 minutes.
I was on the phone, sorry. I thought I was muted. I was on the phone.
Thanks, sir.
I didn't get that. So I'll get
Oh, this is
another
the one for earlier?
early.
Yeah.
The format of it's a little bit different.
go up to the meeting portal up there. Up in the left.
here,
No, all top,
right here.
there. Okay, never mind. I don't know. The down below where it says Zoom meeting. In the middle. There you go.
There it is.
How long you go for planning on that?
Probably get away with 10 minutes.
Thought you said short.
That's short.
Well, that is short, but he said brief. That's even shorter than brief. Shorter than short.
See,
Brief is an
It should be
attorney
like
word.
5.
Yeah. It should be just a couple of sentences.
you can't talk that fast. Not possible. You get my deal on the. It won't slow down anything.
I just sent the invites here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's good to know. Let me know if you have questions after it or not that we can answer anything, but don't hesitate to. I'm not really good. You'll be.
I don't know.
If
I
you
don't know
work
if
with
you
me,
guys
sir,
are-
you'll like it. Good.
You're off mute, David.
I don't know if you guys are aware, it's snowing outside.
Yeah, we're getting the snow now that they forecasted earlier.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of, I don't know if you're aware, but that kind of happens in February on occasion.
It does. It
We're not
does.
Get any significant amount, I mean. Yeah, I think so.
Is it snowing
A little
good?
bigger flakes, but still not a whole bunch.
No,
No,
They said it could blow around until about 3 today, so.
Doug said that. But Teleco station 112 right at the end of the day, it was coming down pretty good there.
Huh.
I don't know, still is now.
I'd imagine a little farther north.
Yeah.
We usually get along that way.
It's the,
Well, it's gotta stop. Oh,
you know, came last night, it came.
Why?
that's what they said.
I heard all the way up till 3 today, so.
Early.
You know, last night it came from the southwest, you know, to the northeast. Well, this is coming straight from the north to the south.
Oh,
So
Yeah, I
this-
saw
this
how it was
snows-
kind
It's gonna cook it back.
of curling down. I saw that earlier on the radar. I wondered if that wouldn't happen.
The heaviest, I just looked at the radar, was right over Milford. Kind of-
Yeah. Let's get it done and over with in the spring. It's baseball season, right, David?
you are correct, sir. Yes. I'm ready for it
Let's
to
go
get.
see the Royals play the Braves on the 15th of April. It's also K-State Day.
No,
Oh, uh-huh.
Tax day.
No, technically tax day would be the following Monday because they don't do it on a
it's not
weekend.
till the 18th.
No, it said 15th.
No, I mean, tax day.
Oh, yeah, they go to the next
17th
business
or
day on that.
Okay, David, you're up.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. David Adams, EMS Ambulance Director with an out-of-state travel request. I've been asked by the Kansas EMS Association, and I've done this before, and I'll probably, they're gonna ask me every year for a while. I'm the president of the association. But they've asked me to attend, what they call EMS on the Hill. What they do every year, pre-COVID, with the National Association of EMTs, which is one of our big national parent companies, to meet with our legislators that are on specific legislation that is for EMS. And this year, the theme really is just kind of keeping funding going, if you will. So the Siren Act, which is a grant act for rural and semi-urban localities, and several other things like that. The EMS Association pays the entire bill. So I've got the transportation out of Kansas City. The Manhattan Airport is closed that weekend, or that time frame. And then the lodging at the hotel, and then the meals. And the meal breakdown is what it would cost the county if a total is $1,109.80. But like I said, the association pays the entire bill for the four of us that'll go.
That's a per person cost, or that's for everything?
That's per person.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yep. Nope. This is just from the cost for me.
Okay.
So.
And there's how many going for?
Yeah, there's four of us from the state. Myself, the assistant, the vice president of our organization, our administrator society president, and then our KAC representative is the fourth.
Okay. Go ahead and make a motion then to approve the out of state travel request for the EMS department.
No, second.
So moved in second to approve the request for travel to represent Kansas EMS and National EMS Day on the Hill in DC from March 29th through the 31st. Cost to be paid by the EMS. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair sign, please.
All right. Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks,
Thank you.
David.
Get better.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. 11:45. Yeah, Mr. Russell.
Yeah, I was waking up this morning thinking, man, I wish I could have been good at math when I was young, because I would have probably become a meteorologist. Man, you can get away with so much there. I mean,
I just get a roulette wheel and the darts.
I do appreciate our meteorologists, so when they need to step up, they do typically, so. Thank you.
This is updated. What
Yes.
submitted. In the checks. Yes, sir. I don't need that now.
Yeah, once you know we're gonna go forward. Yeah. If the bids are good, you've got the cash to cover the bids.
You got my document. I just want to make sure that you'll send it, so I want to make sure you.
Okay, Russell.
Morning, Commissioners, Russell Stuckey, Management of Fire. As you know, we got 2 more fire stations that will complete the updating of the fire stations to build the Ashland Station 102 and University Park Station 110. At the time of submitting the car, I was of the mind and talking to the architect that we would probably just go ahead and bid the Ashland Station because we own that ground. And we still have some work to do on the ground at University Park and potentially even maybe having to replat it. So I was of the mind that we would just bid the Ashland one. Talking to the architect since submitting the car, he highly recommends we go ahead and bid both of them. He thinks we'll get a better price, and one of the addendums that I just handed you would be the state in there that the bidders know that UP station might not get built for months and months, depending on how long the paperwork takes and everything. So that's the architect's recommendation, and I'm fine with that. If the commissioners are fine with it. As far as cash on hand, the fiscal impact, when I wrote up the car again, we would have the money on hand to do the actual station. We probably don't have the money on hand to do both of them, but if we were to push construction of the University Park Station to the next budget year, we could possibly pay cash. We, in theory, buy the building package this year and just essentially have it in storage and make to do the dirt work, concrete, and erection of the building in 2024 out of the next year budget. Or we could borrow money and do it all this year. That would be a determination we could make at the time. And we really can't make that determination until we know what the price is going to be. So, maybe we'll get lucky and there's some contractors that are hungry and maybe we would have the cash on hand to do it. Currently, we have $425,000 in capital outlay. The architect's original estimate on this at the height of the building costs was approximately $600,000 for both stations, 280 or 90 for one and 310 for the other one, because it has a little more dirt work to do. The one at University Park. So we have budgeted to add 30,000 to that this year, so that would bring it up to 400 and approximately 55,000 in there, and then hopefully, we won't buy the intent is to not buy any trucks this year. So hopefully at the end of the year, so putting 30,000 in capital outlay, we can put 100,000 into it, or apply it towards this project, however you look at it. So that would take us up to approximately 525,000 in this budget year to spend on it. So depending on what the bids come in at, maybe we get lucky and can do both. Maybe we have to push buy the materials and push the constructions on next year on the UP station. So if the commission's comfortable with that, I'm comfortable with going ahead and bidding those stations, see what the prices come in at, and then we can make our fiscal decisions after we know what our actual target price is.
Do you have a place to store the
Yeah, we can
materials?
Public Works. I mean, it would probably be outside, but we'd still Public Works. The materials, which they'd all be steel. More than likely, if one part of the addendum is to bid a wood structure, so that if there's contractors out there that want to bid a wood structure, the assumption would be that the wood structure would be considerably cheaper. So in that scenario, I would anticipate not having to store anything. In that scenario, I would anticipate the reason we went with wood is because it was enough cheaper than the steel that we could build them both this year and not have to worry about pushing construction into the next calendar year, next budget year. But assuming the steel is higher, and if we went with steel, we may have to store the second steel building package, but storing it outside wouldn't be as big a deal as storing wood products.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, that was my question. I didn't said metal building, but it even talks about it. But everybody else an alternate.
Yeah, and then it's supposed to be. He just emailed that to me, and so I didn't read it line for line, but he said in it should include both the
delayed construction potential. And then, the bills are.
Yeah, it shows, we got 1 and 3. We only got pages 1 and 3, that's the one that's in page 2 and there. List the other options.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, we don't have.
Sorry.
Yeah, great.
That's,
Just wanted to be sure you and the architect are gonna structure the bid in case costs come in too high to where we can just accept one bid. So it's something to plan for. Because if they bid them all as one group, then.
because right now it just says 1 lump sum, that's, they're gonna be separate line.
So I would highly,
It's missing
highly
page.
suggest you doing this 2 separate based on cost, because you may,
Uh,
the cost may come in a lot higher even for wood, you can only do one, and then you're starting all over to rebid.
Right. I could ask him about that. That may play into the better price or not, but if but I can ask him about that.
But yeah, I would
I
think
mean,
we'd
it shouldn't. I mean, the price is the price for
I would
both
think,
at the same
actually, I
time.
thought we probably needed to have them listed separately.
I have them listed separately,
And then you said,
What
and
I
then
think
it's
the way,
total for 2 at the same time, and they can get that cost.
I think what he was thinking is the manufacturer, like on a steel building, in particular, if he buys 2 from him, he's gonna get a better price. Right. Whereas if he just buys 1, they won't get as good a price. So,
But he can get that if you specify that in the bid.
yeah, I can ask him about that.
Yeah, something else.
And so if the commission wanted to move ahead, then you'd want to change the motion to solicit bids for both the Ashland Station 102 and the University Park Station 102.
What's the number?
110,
110.
Ashland 102 and
No, I got that.
UP 110.
Okay with that?
Do we need to have do we need to have an updated contract to reflect those changes?
Well, this is the first I've heard of it, so.
Oh, you haven't reviewed the contract or the,
Well, no, I looked at the materials for Ashland Bond.
It's the exact same except for, well, the first one had both of them on it.
All right.
What Anderson and I said, and then as we talked, well, we may not be able to afford both and what the land swap and potential replating that we need to do. With them down the road, we'll just do the actual one now and then do that later. We figure all that out, but the architect highly recommended we did them both because we'll get a better price.
just to see. If we want to.
But I'll talk to him about making it, Ashland #1 and UP #2. Or there's potential we make that UP for the time being and move it to a later date.
Might want to do that and then maybe come back and vote on it then, when we have the right documentation. Make that change, like table it for now.
Yeah, probably should say that in the contract that we signed. That's that we signed.
Well, we're not gonna sign. the
Yeah,
contract.
yeah.
Well, we signed it.
This is for bid, it's not a contract.
Mm,
Yeah, these are just the bid documents, And if they come in that we don't like them, obviously we can reject them and start over.
Right.
But until we know prices. We just don't really know where, whether we have enough on hand, whether we can do it over 2 years or whether we gotta borrow money to do both. I don't know. Until we get firmer prices and all we have is. And we have estimates all over the place from different sources. So it's really hard to target.
at least lumber prices are going in the right direction.
yeah.
They dropped 26%. This past week.
And with the consumer price index and inflation's gone back up over the last. 2
Well, then
months.
all the mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
And metal.
I don't know, do we want to wait until we see the final version?
Yeah, I think we should.
I think we should too.
Because it's not bidding, I mean, we've got. It's another bid for a month, yeah. But we don't have a meeting Monday, so it'd be.
To me,
It'll be a week from today. We can see that.
to me, Russell, it's pretty easy. I don't think you need to make it too difficult. Figure out which station you want to do first, and I think it's Ashland.
Right.
You know, submit a bid for just Ashland and then submit your bid for both at the same time. And then you'll get the package benefit of ordering both at the same time. It's not that difficult for them to do in the bid documents. And the companies will see that they're getting them both at the same time, so that if there is a price benefit, they should reflect that in there if they want a long job.
And I'd be fine with that. If the commission just wants to direct staff to do that, I mean, we can do that, and that's what we can have.
I'm fine with that.
We want to see a revised.
I still want to see a revised copy of it, yeah.
Okay, we'll have to change the bid rates and move it back forward, because we won't have time to advertise in the paper for the right amount of days and et cetera, et cetera.
We'll be here Thursday.
Yeah.
We can do it early, then you can get it to the paper by meeting or something. Is that what it is?
It's like 3 days.
Well,
Thursday, it takes 4 business days to get it in.
Yeah,
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have to change the date. That's good.
it'll be a week, 10 days off, so that'll be all right.
Okay.
I'd like to ask the board to make a motion to add an executive session to my time. Well, not my time, have an executive session now. My time's over with. If you would.
I'll make a motion that we add an executive session to the time right now.
And I'll second.
So moved and seconded to add an executive session. Following this motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Make sure I've got it.
How long was that, Clancy?
It'll be for 10 minutes.
Do you just want to go till 10 after, or you want to go to,
Let's go to 10 after and be
Okay.
easier.
just want to be sure?
Sure, I appreciate that.
Okay. I'll go ahead and move the county commission, including Chair Foki, Vice Chairman Ford, and Commissioner McKinley recess into executive session on potential litigation for the purpose of consultation with Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor, attorney for the commission, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, an exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act. Open meeting to resume in the commission chamber at 12:10 p.m.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to adjourn or to recess into executive session until 12:10. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Derek. Make it on, go.
Well, I
We
took
get
it
education, I'm gonna
because you changed the word, so it's really your fault.
When it comes education time, you can come and join us though.
Oh, no, I'm exempt. I don't have to go.
This is bad news.
Are we good, Derek? Okay. I move the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded for the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I also move that the record reflect action shall be taken consistent with the consensus reached in executive session.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded that no consensus. Yeah, the consensus was reached in the executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioners.
Okay.
I don't-
Anything else today?
I don't have anything else.
How about another executive session? No. just kidding.
No.
Okay.
I like that.
Threat of
Used to be a
violence.
pitcher, so.
Yeah. Just what I need. The phone bouncing off my forehead.
There's a mouse.
There's a
Oh, was it?
mouse.
I just take that.
You're just gonna break the mouse. That's what we're gonna do.
Now things have changed.
I don't know why concrete is stacked.
Okay, I think on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn the February 16th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the February 16th meeting. All in